Hello everyone, this is Ozic. Welcome to the Practical Grammar Tenses course. The tense series consists of a total of 12 parts plus additional videos, and this is part 5. Since all the class guidelines were already explained in the introduction video, I'll skip them here. Still, let me remind you once again, always approach vocabulary through full sentences, not isolated word lists, and don't just pay attention to pronunciation. Keep stress and intonation in mind as well. Also, please remember that all course materials are the result of many years of study and research, so if you want to use them elsewhere, you must contact us in advance and clearly cite the source. The class booklet has a total of 54 pages, including exercises. You can download it after signing up on our website. I recommend printing it out before class, but if that's difficult, you can split your screen while watching. Of course, you can still follow the lecture without downloading anything. When we study grammar, our main goal is just one: communicating effectively. Now let's move on to the last of the simple tenses, the future tense. The future tense itself isn't very difficult, but there are many ways to express it depending on context, and each form carries a different nuance, so we need to look at it closely. First, the most common way to express the future is by using the modal verb will. It's often used when making a promise or offering something to another person. Let's look at some examples. If you decide to join us for dinner tomorrow evening, I'll make sure to book the table and order your favorite dish. On the time continuum, you can clearly see the point marked in the future. The red circle indicates a colloquial expression. I'll help you clean your room, but only if you can find the socks you lost last year. They're practically legendary by now. In other words, those socks are long gone. You'll never find them, said in a teasing tone. I'll totally study with you tomorrow, but don't ask me math questions after midnight. My brain shuts down by then. That means, I'll study hard with you, but late at night, math is off the table. A half-joking, half-serious comment. Here's a slightly longer example. In addition to personal promises, will is frequently used in formal or professional contexts as well. Once you complete your registration on our company website by filling out all the required fields, we will immediately send a detailed confirmation email. That email will include your registration number and important instructions for the next steps. Practice understanding information slowly, in the natural order that native speakers express it. Now here's one of the most famous movie songs ever, and its title is even more famous. Almost everyone knows it. I will always love you. Everyone hopes to meet someone to whom they can say those words. Let's listen.
I will always love you.
Now some cautions about the future tense. The future tense is often used together with the present. That's because we usually talk about future events based on something happening or known in the present. For example, when you say, I'll go to bed now, that future action stems from a present reason: you're tired now. In other words, the future tense is not independent of the present. This is a big contrast to the past tense, which is independent. When you use the past tense, you can't tell what's happening in the present. Understanding this distinction is extremely important for recognizing time logic in sentences. Let's take a closer look at the examples. All the examples here express future actions, but why do the underlined verbs appear in the present tense form? Exactly right. It's because they come after time or condition conjunctions. You remember the checklist, right? Although these verbs look like present tense, they function as future in meaning. Let's check pronunciation and stress. The meanings of the words have already been explained earlier.
If you decide to join us for dinner tonight, I will make sure to reserve a seat for you and order your favorite dish.
I'll help you clean your room, but only if we find that missing sock from last year. It's become a legend at this point.
I'll totally study with you tomorrow. Just don't ask me any math questions after midnight. That's when my brain shuts down.
After you complete your registration on our website by filling out all the required fields, the company will promptly send you a detailed confirmation email containing your registration number and important instructions for the next steps.
We also use the future tense to make predictions. That seems obvious, right? Again, there's no need to memorize each usage individually, just understand the logic. Let's look at some examples. I think traffic will be lighter this holiday weekend because many people will be leaving the city to visit their families. This predicts the future. You can also sense how the nuance here differs from the examples of promises or offers using will earlier. Many experts believe that artificial intelligence will dramatically transform the way we live, work, and communicate within the next decade. Again, this describes a prediction. Let's check pronunciation and stress.
I think the traffic will be much lighter during the holidays because many people will leave the city to visit their families.
Many experts believe that artificial intelligence will significantly change the way we work and communicate within the next decade.
Next example. The company's profits will increase next year because it will launch several new products and expand into overseas markets. Your parents will probably be very proud when they hear about your achievements at school. Both of these sentences predict future events. But why are some verbs underlined and written in the present tense? Yes, it's because they follow conjunctions of time or condition. In spoken English, we don't always use will for predictions. We also use be going to. She's going to win, don't you think? She's way ahead of the others. Look at those dark clouds. It's going to rain soon. Let's check pronunciation and stress again.
The company's profits will increase next year as they launch several new products and expand into international markets.
Your parents will probably be very proud of you when they hear about your recent achievements at school.
She's going to win the race. She's way ahead of everyone else.
Look at those dark clouds. It's going to rain soon.
We also use will when expressing personal determination or refusal. This is quite different from promises or predictions, and it's very important for reading comprehension. Let's look at the examples. They will take part in next month's charity event, even if it means rearranging their busy schedules to make time. This expresses clear willingness or determination to participate. Without that last clause, it could also sound like a simple prediction. They will participate next month. And if the sentence were intended merely to report a confirmed plan, using the present continuous would sound more natural. We'll discuss that later in this video. In point 15 on the future tense, this shows how much context matters. To express strong intention, we also use be willing to. Remember, the noun will itself means determination or willingness. She won't accept any help with her project because she wants to finish it entirely on her own. That shows refusal and determination to complete it solo. Despite the cold weather, the children say they won't cancel their plan to play soccer at the park after school. In other words, they have no intention of giving up the plan. He'll gladly help you move into your new apartment this weekend as long as you let him know the time in advance. That clearly expresses willingness to help. Jason Mraz's famous song says, "Even if the sky gets rough, I won't give up on us." That expresses determination not to give up no matter how hard things get. Let's listen.
I won't give up on us even if the skies get rough.
Even though all these sentences use the modal verb will, you can feel how different the nuances are from simple promises or predictions. Most of these expressions appear in the negative form will not or won't, but again, there's no need to memorize them. If you keep practicing and use them naturally, you'll internalize the difference over time. Let's check pronunciation and stress.
They will participate in the charity event next month, even if it means adjusting their busy schedules to make time for it.
She won't accept any help with her project because she wants to finish it entirely on her own.
Despite the cold weather, the children say they won't cancel their plans to play soccer in the park after school.
He will gladly help you move to your new apartment this weekend, as long as you let him know the exact time in advance.
Now, here's a use of will you need to handle carefully. We use will for decisions made in the moment, especially during conversation. Let's look at the examples. I just realized we're out of milk, so I'll stop by the grocery store on my way home and pick some up. Since it seems you're confused about the instructions, our staff will guide you through each step of the process. The red circle indicates conversational phrasing. Of course, I'll give it a try. I've never done it before, but why not? I think it's a great opportunity to learn something new. You know what? I'll just walk instead of catching the bus. It's nice weather, and the fresh air will help me clear my head and relax a bit. In both personal and formal situations, the context shows that these decisions were made just now. Let's check pronunciation and stress.
I just realized we're running out of milk, so I'll stop by the grocery store on my way home and pick some up.
You seem confused about the instructions, so our staff will guide you through the process step by step.
Sure, I'll give it a shot. I've never done it before, but I'm willing to try. I think it'll be a good opportunity to learn something new.
You know what? I'll just walk instead of grabbing the bus. The weather's nice, and I could definitely use some fresh air. Plus, it'll help me clear my head a bit and just chill for a while.
However, if the plan was decided earlier, before the conversation, then we use be going to, not will. In short, spontaneous decisions use will, while prearranged decisions use be going to. The nuance is very different, so pay careful attention when choosing which to use. Let's look at the examples. We're going to visit our grandparents in the countryside next weekend. We've already booked the train tickets. Because the decision was already made, the tickets were purchased in advance. The school is going to hold a science fair in May, and all students are encouraged to participate with their own projects. The company is going to release its latest smartphone model in September, and there's already a lot of excitement among customers. If we used will in this sentence, it would mean simply the company will release it, a prediction, but is going to implies that the decision has already been made. She's going to visit that house where ghosts live? No way! She can't even watch a short preview of horror movies. I'm going to eat a lot, like a whole lot, at tonight's party, and I won't even regret it afterward. That shows clear intention and readiness long before the event. Now let's check pronunciation and stress.
We are going to visit my grandparents in the countryside next weekend, and we've already booked the train tickets.
The school is going to hold a science fair in May, and all the students are encouraged to participate with their own projects.
The company is going to launch its latest smartphone model in September, and there's already a lot of excitement among customers.
She's gonna try that haunted house? No way! She can't even handle horror trailers.
I'm gonna eat way too much at the party tonight, and I'm not even sorry.
To really feel the difference between spontaneous and prearranged decisions, let's compare the following examples. If someone says, "Could you turn off the light as you leave the room?" you might answer, "Sure, I will, don't worry." By using will, it shows you made the decision after hearing the request. If, however, you had already planned to do it before that request, you'd respond with, "I'm going to," as in, "I was already planning to." It subtly but clearly changes the meaning. Here's another situation. "Hey, forget about that guy and find someone better." You deserve to be happy. I know what you mean, but I'm not ready yet. The second speaker clearly refuses the advice, showing intention not to act. "Don't forget to call Grandma on her birthday." "I'm going to. I already set an alarm reminder on my phone." This shows the decision was made beforehand. If the person had decided right after being reminded, the answer would be, "I will," meaning, "Oh, right, I'll do it." It might seem like a small distinction, but it's a very big one. This difference appears naturally in both daily conversation and formal communication, so it's important to be aware of it. Now, as we listen and read together, focus on how the speaker expresses their intention or willingness in response to another person's words.
Could you please turn off the lights when you leave the room?
I will. Don't worry, I'll make sure to switch them off.
You should really forget about him and try to meet someone better. You deserve to be happy.
I won't. I know you mean well, but I'm just not ready to let go yet.
Please remember to call your grandmother on her birthday.
I'm going to. I've set a reminder on my phone.
Now let's look at other ways to express the future. Traditionally, when the modal verb shall is used with the subjects I or we, it conveys a polite suggestion or recommendation. It's not exactly the same as honorific speech in Asia, but it carries a similar sense of showing respect to the listener. Let's look at the examples. Shall we consider alternative solutions to this issue, or is our current approach enough? Many textbooks say this is the same as let's, but that's not quite true. Let's is more direct and closer to a command with a feeling of leading or pushing forward. Shall we, on the other hand, politely seeks the other person's opinion and consent. It's much more courteous. Shall I go and tell the team that you won't be able to join the meeting today? Again, it sounds polite and considerate. Shall is also used in contracts and legal documents to show strong obligation. It expresses duties that the parties must fulfill, and failure to do so can be considered a breach of contract. In legal writing, it is used to clarify enforceable obligations. Although it has recently been replaced by must to reduce ambiguity in legal interpretation, it is still frequently used, so you should be familiar with it. Let's look at an example from a lease contract. The sentence is long and the vocabulary is difficult, but let's process it slowly in the order native speakers would. The tenant shall pay the full amount of rent to the landlord on the first day of each calendar month without demand, to the address stated in this agreement or to another location designated in writing by the landlord. In summary, even without any specific demand, the tenant must pay the full rent to the address stated in the contract, or to another place designated in writing by the landlord. Let's continue. If payment is not made on time, that is, if the rent is not paid punctually, it shall constitute a breach of this lease agreement and may result in the imposition of late fees or other penalties as specified herein. So, failure to pay rent on time constitutes a violation of the contract and may lead to late fees or other penalties as stated in the agreement. The words may be difficult, but you can clearly sense how strong the obligation is. Let's check pronunciation and stress.
Shall we consider alternative solutions to this problem, or do you think our current approach is sufficient?
Shall I let the team know you won't be able to attend the meeting?
The tenant shall pay the full amount of rent to the landlord on the first day of each calendar month, without demand, at the address specified in this agreement or at such other place as the landlord may designate in writing. Failure to make payment on time shall constitute a breach of this lease agreement and may result in the imposition of late fees or other penalties as outlined herein.
Another use of shall is what grammar books call the volitional future, although you don't need to remember that term. It expresses strong determination or will on the part of the speaker, regardless of the sentence's subject. This usage is rare in modern English and appears mostly in literature, so just keep it as background knowledge. In the following example, even though the subject is you, the meaning conveys the speaker's strong determination. This comes from one of the most famous lines in The Lord of the Rings. It doesn't simply mean you cannot pass, but rather, I will stop you, I shall not let you pass. It reflects the speaker's powerful resolve. The next example is similar. Regardless of the grammatical subject, the sentence powerfully expresses the speaker's strong determination. I am willing to make them pay for what they have done. This form is also used in the Bible. In the sixth commandment, often translated simply as you should not kill, the original Hebrew carries a much stronger sense of divine authority, as if to say, I, the Lord, command you, you must not commit murder. It embodies the absolute will of God as the sole deity. And as a side note, even those who don't regularly attend church are likely familiar with this biblical verse. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. It's not just a statement about the future, but an expression of unwavering faith and spiritual certainty. Since English has been deeply influenced by Judeo-Christian tradition, becoming familiar with such expressions will deepen your understanding of the language. Now, read along and try to feel the speaker's determined will expressed through the modal shall. So, regardless of the subject of each sentence, you can understand all the examples from the speaker's point of view. That is, from the perspective of I.
You shall die.
You shall not pass.
They shall suffer for what they have done.
Thou shalt not kill.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
There are many ways to express the future without using modal verbs. Let's go over some of the most common ones. Be planning to. As you can tell from the word planning, this expression indicates that someone is preparing or making arrangements to do something in the near future. She is planning, or preparing, to study in Germany for a year, so she has already started taking German lessons and preparing her documents. They intend to upgrade their house this summer, which means they'll be staying at a relative's house for a few months. We are planning to launch a new product line next spring, and with that expectation, the whole team has already begun making a complete marketing plan to make sure the company succeeds in entering the market. I'm planning to take a few days off next month to visit some old friends in the countryside. From all these examples, we can see concrete plans for the future. Let's check pronunciation and stress. You may already know most of these words, but unless you know where the stress falls, you can't say you truly know the word.
She is planning to study abroad in Germany for a year, so she has started learning the language and preparing her documents.
They are planning to renovate their house this summer, which means they'll be living with relatives for a few months.
We are planning to launch our new product line next spring, and in anticipation of this, the entire team has already begun developing a comprehensive marketing strategy to ensure a successful introduction to the market.
I'm planning to take a few days off next month to see my folks in the countryside.
Be supposed to. This very common expression is used when we talk about something expected to happen according to general rules, customs, or common sense. Simply put, it refers to a mild obligation or responsibility based on general expectations, but not an absolute one. Be due to. This phrase is mostly used to describe officially scheduled or formally arranged future events, such as those on a timetable or appointment list. Let's look at examples that help you feel the nuanced difference between be supposed to and be due to. She is supposed to give a speech at the event, but no one really knows whether she'll actually show up. Apparently, she hasn't even confirmed her attendance yet. She is due to give her speech at 2 p.m., and the organizers have already prepared the stage and sound equipment. Everything is planned and ready. Can you feel the difference between the two? The first one expresses general expectation or assumption without obligation. The second one conveys a confirmed official schedule. Let's feel that difference again through another example. They say the package is supposed to be delivered today, but when I check the tracking page, it says delivery is due at 8 a.m. tomorrow. In short, be supposed to expresses general expectation or uncertainty, while be due to is used for something formally arranged or fixed. Let's check pronunciation and stress. Now let's read together, focusing on the nuance difference.
She is supposed to give a speech at the event, but no one's sure if she's actually going to show up. Apparently, she hasn't confirmed her attendance yet.
She is due to give a speech at 2 p.m., and the organizers have already set up the podium and sound system for her. Everything is scheduled and ready.
The package is supposed to arrive today, but it's actually due to be delivered by 8 a.m. tomorrow, according to the tracking info.
Be about to. This means to be going to do something very soon, and it's used when something will happen imminently, in the very near future. The director is about to begin the keynote speech, which will outline the company's long-term vision and strategic priorities for the next 10 years. The research team is about to announce groundbreaking study, and the study challenges several long-held assumptions in the field of cognitive neuroscience. That means they're on the verge of publishing a study that disputes some of the most established ideas in that field. You can clearly see how I handled relative clauses here, right? Let's check pronunciation and stress.
The director is about to begin her keynote speech, which will outline the company's long-term vision and strategic priorities for the next decade.
The research team is about to publish a groundbreaking study that challenges several long-standing assumptions in the field of cognitive neuroscience.
Next example. The company is about to enter a crucial phase in negotiations with its international partners, and what it requires now is careful coordination and a unified internal message. Again, you can clearly see how I process participial phrases here, right? There's no need to mechanically convert English parts of speech. You can just understand them in meaning order. The train is about to depart, so any remaining passengers are kindly asked to board immediately. That's a common announcement you'll hear at train stations. Let's check pronunciation and stress again.
The company is about to enter a critical phase of negotiation with international partners, requiring careful coordination and a unified internal message.
The train is about to depart, so any remaining passengers should board immediately.
Be to. It's short but a very powerful way to express the future. It's one of the many uses of the infinitive to, although you don't need to memorize the term. It's often used in news reports or official documents to express scheduled events, obligations, plans, or commands in a formal tone. Let's look at some examples. Former U.S. President Barack Obama is to visit South Korea next week as part of his ongoing efforts to promote international cooperation and facilitate dialogue on global issues. You are to submit the completed application to the admissions office by 5 p.m. on Friday. Late submissions will not be considered under any circumstances. This clearly sounds like an official statement related to admissions procedures. Now that functions as a conjunction similar in meaning to because. Now that the project has been unexpectedly cancelled, what am I supposed to do with all this research data I've gathered over the past 6 months? Let's check pronunciation and stress.
Former U.S. President Barack Obama is to visit Korea next week as part of his ongoing efforts to promote international cooperation and dialogue on global issues.
You are to submit your completed application forms to the admissions office by 5 p.m. on Friday. Late submissions will not be considered under any circumstances.
Now that the project has been unexpectedly cancelled, what am I to do with all the research data and materials that I have collected over the past 6 months?
No employee is to enter the restricted research area without proper permission and protective equipment. If you do not follow this rule, you will be punished. This is another official type of notice conveying a strong and serious warning. If we are to reduce our company's carbon footprint, our overall carbon emissions, then every department must adopt more practices which do not use up resources. This clearly expresses a future action or requirement. Let's check pronunciation and stress. Don't try to memorize the words separately. Learn them through the sentences. If you're preparing for standardized exams, you absolutely need to get familiar with these structures.
No employee is to enter the restricted laboratory area without proper authorization and protective gear, as failure to comply may result in disciplinary action.
If we are to reduce our company's carbon footprint, all departments will need to adopt more sustainable practices.
Here, let's look at contrasting expressions. On one side, there are phrases that show uncertainty or speculation about the future. On the other, expressions that show certainty, inevitability, or confidence about the future. This distinction may seem minor but is crucial for reading comprehension. Recognizing the writer's tone, whether confident or uncertain, can change how we interpret an entire passage and even affect which answer is correct on reading exams. So, this is very important. We'll study it in more detail in the reading course later, but let's build the foundation now. Let's look at some examples. Based on what the weather will be like, according to the current weather forecast, there is a possibility of rain during tomorrow's outdoor concert, so attendees are advised to bring umbrellas and raincoats just in case. As the company's sales numbers have declined for 3 consecutive quarters, there is a possibility that the annual revenue target will not be achieved, which means the company's sales have gone down for 3 times in a row. Because of this, the company might not reach its goal for the year. See how I interpreted that as possibility? That means the statement expresses uncertainty rather than certainty. Let's check pronunciation and stress. Because we ran out of space, related vocabulary is listed on page 19. Next examples. With her outstanding academic record and impressive interview performance, she will definitely receive an admission offer from one of the top universities she applied to. The new policy, which gives big tax help to small businesses, will certainly encourage more entrepreneurs to start their own companies next year. Generally, entrepreneurs are people who start their own companies or businesses. Both sentences clearly express strong confidence and certainty. Let's check pronunciation and stress. Now let's read together from the beginning and try to feel the difference between confidence and uncertainty.
Given the current weather forecast, it is likely to rain during the outdoor concert tomorrow. So attendees are advised to bring umbrellas and raincoats just in case.
With the company's sales figures declining for the 3rd consecutive quarter, it is unlikely to meet its annual revenue.
With her exceptional academic record and impressive interview performance, she is sure to receive an offer from one of the top universities she applied to.
The new policy, which offers substantial tax incentives to small businesses, is certain to encourage more entrepreneurs to start their own companies in the coming year.
Finally, the present continuous can also express future actions. It's used for confirmed plans or scheduled events, especially those occurring in the near future. I'm meeting my mentor this evening to review my progress and get advice on improving my project management skills. We're having a team meeting at 3 p.m. to finalize the presentation for tomorrow's client visit. Everyone has already been notified by email. She's starting her new job on Monday, and she's already met with her new manager to discuss the onboarding schedule. That is, the step-by-step plan to help new employees adapt and begin their work smoothly. He's flying to San Francisco next Friday to attend an international conference, where he's scheduled to participate in several major networking events with industry leaders. Even if you don't memorize that the present continuous can express the future, the red time markers make its future meaning clear from context. Let's check pronunciation and stress. Now read from the beginning. Although these sentences are in the present continuous, remember to focus on the time markers that indicate future meaning.
I am meeting my mentor this evening to review my progress and seek advice on how to improve my project management skills.
We're having a team meeting at 3 p.m. to finalize the presentation for tomorrow's client visit. Everyone was informed via email.
She is starting her new job on Monday, and she already met with her new manager to discuss the onboarding schedule.
He is flying to San Francisco next Friday for an international conference, where he will attend several important networking events with industry leaders.
I've organized all the future expression methods we've learned so far into one table. This is not something you need to memorize. It's provided purely for review. Even I don't have all of these memorized. I've simply become familiar enough to recognize them through context. That's exactly the level you should aim for too. However, there's one important point to remember. Everything we've covered so far represents expressions of the future as seen from the present tense perspective. But there's also another category, expressions of the future as seen from the past. It's usually called future in the past. You don't need to remember that term, but because it's used so frequently in real contexts, you should be familiar with the form. As summarized in your textbook, you simply use the past tense form of a modal verb or the verb be. However, that alone doesn't tell us whether a prediction or plan actually came true later at that specific point in the future. This is an essential logical foundation. As a side note, the past form of shall is should, but shall is not used in this kind of structure. We'll go deeper into this in the lectures on subjunctive mood and time sequence, but for now, let's get comfortable with the basic concept of viewing future events from a past point in time. You shall practice using various future tense forms learned earlier through examples viewed from a past perspective. When we were sitting by the window watching the dark clouds gather, Grandma said it looked like it was going to rain soon, and suggested we bring the laundry inside before it got wet. Because the main verb here is in the past tense, we use would, not will, in the part expressing the prediction. You'll remember that earlier we said the future tense is usually connected to the present, but depending on the timeline, it can connect with other tenses too. In those cases, we change the form to make the time relationship clear. Next example, the manager told the team clearly that he would provide detailed feedback on everyone's performance by the end of the week, so each member worked hard to make sure they finished their tasks on time. This illustrates the future from a past viewpoint. The promise existed, but from the past perspective. We use would because the main verb is in the past tense. Now, these two verbs in that sentence look similar and have similar meanings, but they serve different functions. We'll cover that in more detail in the passive voice lecture. It didn't matter how many times we asked, he still wouldn't apologize. This again expresses refusal, a negative intention about a future action viewed from a past time. Let's check pronunciation and stress. Next sentence. He was going to submit his scholarship application by the end of that month, but after talking with his counselor, he realized he needed more time to strengthen his essay and gather more recommendation letters. This shows a planned future action seen from the past. She looked so pale and unsteady at the party that I stayed close, thinking she might faint any minute. This expresses a prediction about the future at a past moment. Let's check pronunciation and stress again. Now, as we think about the future from a past perspective, let's read from the beginning together.
As we sat by the window watching the dark clouds gather, my grandmother told me that it would probably start raining soon, and she suggested we bring the laundry inside before it got wet.
The manager assured the team that he would provide detailed feedback on everyone's performance by the end of the week, so each member worked diligently to ensure their tasks were completed on time.
No matter how many times we asked, he would not apologize for his mistake.
He was going to submit his application for the scholarship by the end of the month, but after talking with his advisor, he realized he needed more time to strengthen his personal statement and gather additional recommendation letters.
She looked so pale and unsteady at the party that I was sure she was going to faint, so I stayed close by in case she needed help.
Here's another example. At the beginning of the year, our team was planning to launch the new product line in the summer. However, unexpected supply chain delays forced us to postpone the release until the following year, which means, because of problems with getting the parts, we have to wait and cannot make or sell the product until next year. This expresses a plan that faced a setback, a delayed future viewed from the past. The meeting was supposed to start at 10 a.m., but several key attendees were stuck in traffic, so we had to wait nearly 30 minutes before everyone arrived and the meeting could begin. In other words, the meeting finally started about 30 minutes late. This describes a scheduled future event seen from a past point in time. They were due to sign the contract last Friday, but the meeting was postponed. Again, this shows a future arrangement as seen from the past. I was about to send an important email to my boss when suddenly the power went out. That situation forced me to rewrite the entire message once the electricity was restored. This describes an action that was just about to happen in the future from the past viewpoint. According to the original schedule, the delegation was to meet the city mayor first thing that morning, and after that, the delegation was to do a tour of the new cultural center in the afternoon. Here, even though we don't explicitly see the past tense in the sentence, context tells us it's about the future from a past perspective, and delegation is a group of people chosen to represent others, often at a meeting or event. Let's check pronunciation and stress again. Some people might be surprised when they heard this. The British pronunciation of schedule is quite different from the one we have known. Now, keeping the future in the past in mind, let's read again from the beginning.
At the beginning of the year, our team was planning to launch a new product line in the summer, but unexpected delays in the supply chain forced us to postpone the release until the following year.
The meeting was supposed to start at 10 a.m., but several key participants were stuck in traffic, so we had to wait nearly half an hour before everyone finally arrived and we could begin.
They were due to sign the contract last Friday, but the meeting was postponed.
I was about to send an important email to my supervisor when the power suddenly went out, forcing me to rewrite the entire message once the electricity was restored.
According to the original schedule, the delegation was to meet with the city's mayor first thing in the morning, followed by a tour of the new cultural center in the afternoon.
Next example. At that time, the small startup had little chance of surviving another year without additional funding, despite the founders' optimism and effort. In other words, at that time, the small new company had little hope to live another year without more money, although the people who started it were hopeful and worked hard. There's no explicit tense marker, but the phrase "at that time" clearly indicates the reference to a future possibility viewed from a past point of view. Based on the severe weather warnings that morning, it seemed likely that the outdoor event would be cancelled, so we started to make a plan B, just in case. Here you can see the past tense clearly, showing a sentence about future possibility within a past context. Let's check pronunciation and stress. Let's keep going. After seeing how much effort the team had put into their final presentation, I was confident they would impress the judges and win first place in the competition. This expresses certainty about the future from a past point of view. Although the negotiations were proceeding smoothly, we were not certain our company would come out ahead, so we stayed cautious and prepared for all possible outcomes. Again, this shows a sense of certainty or doubt about the future from a past point in time. Let's check pronunciation and stress. Notice that with familiar words, the stress sometimes falls differently than you might expect. Now, as you feel this concept of future in the past, listen from the beginning and read along.
At the time, the small startup was unlikely to survive another year without additional investment, despite the founders' optimism and hard work.
Given the severe weather warnings that morning, the outdoor event was likely to be cancelled, so we started making backup plans just in case.
After I saw how much effort the team put into their final presentation, I believed they were sure to impress the judges and secure first place in the competition.
Although the negotiations were progressing well, the outcome was not certain to favor our company, so we remained cautious and prepared for any scenario.
We are wrapping up our lesson on the future tense. In this video, we saw that the future tense is used for much more than simply talking about the future. It also plays a crucial role in what we will cover next, the sequence of tenses. Through the previous lessons, we explored the simple tenses, present, past, and future, across 3 lectures. Simple tenses, but as you've seen, not as simple as their name suggests. They account for nearly 90% of what native speakers use in everyday conversation, so their range of usage is broad and diverse. It's impossible to master all of this at once. You must review regularly. At the same time, make sure to practice speaking and listening with the materials provided. And more importantly, apply what you've learned by writing and speaking English in real life. It takes time, but nothing builds true mastery faster than using what you've learned yourself. See you in the next part. Thank you.